Hi, I'm back and I'm in my favourite hat. If you've not met this guy yet, he's got a little mohawk, so it's really quite cool. Although if I go out for a walk with this guy on, I'll always get people chuckle. There'll always be someone that walks past and goes I'm like, why are you laughing? Like, I don't say that out loud, but in my head I'm like, why are they laughing? This is like the most beautiful hat you could ever come across. It actually makes me happy just to wear it and look at it. But funny story actually, one of my clients, I was on a Sunday session for a group sessions, this lady Marta's quite funny. I'd have this hat on, but there was one session in particular I was wearing like a baggy kind of hippie jumper. I was wearing a really baggy old joggies, and she walked in and went, she actually tutted, I remember that, she went, looked me up and down, she's like, what's going on with you? It was so funny. She's quite honest. Like, I remember because she used to come to the group sessions when we were in the studio, and there was she's probably the only person I've ever worked with who would actually, if I said things like, because in class I'll be like, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, usually people would just do it. Marta would be like, no. I'd be like, no, we're going to do this, blah, and she'd be like, nah, I'll do something different. And I'm like, no, you're coming here, you're going to do what the group's doing. But obviously, like, I change things if people have things to work around, but this was just like can I just do something I like instead? I'll just sit down. And I'm like, no, you won't. She was quite funny, she's quite cheeky. But Marta, I hope you're watching. I remember one time with Marta, we were doing a arm challenge, and it was like one of these just like a fun kind of Bernie session. Fun for me to watch, where I was getting them to do like an arm session and a bit of pulsing in between, so it really burns. And I actually remember by the end of the week my arms were really toned because I was teaching it with like all my classes for a little fun challenge. But I remember on the spur of the moment I added a kind of condition, I added a new rule, and the rule was if you drop your arms down we get extra 5 seconds, like the whole team. So peer pressure, bullying. I don't normally use it, but I thought we just needed that extra wee incentive. Even for me, there was some moments where I was like, I can't drop my arms because these guys will never, ever let me forget it. So even like 5 sessions into the week, I'm like, keep those arms up. But I remember it was just Marta and Anne-Marie in one class. And Marta, at one point she started laughing and she just dropped her arms and then put her arms back up. And I was like, oh, 5 seconds, there we go. And Anne-Marie turned and she was like, oh, Marta. And I was like, oh, another 5 seconds, there we go. And she's like, but that was smart. I was like, oh, another 5 seconds. I love it. I love being a cow in classes. And most of my classes are all meditation and yoga and loveliness, but this was a Bernie one. And so she put her arms back up and she's like, right, turned away so she didn't look at Marta, because Marta was gutting herself laughing. She's like the class clown, leads people astray. So then she heard Marta laughing, so she dropped her arms again. I was like, oh, so I think we actually got an extra minute out of the hilarity. So Marta's sitting there trying to hang on for dear life. So hopefully you're watching, Anne-Marie and Marta. I miss you guys so much. I promise that when I see you again for a session, we'll do a wee arm burn just for you. So anyway, I've actually forgotten what I was going to talk about because I got distracted by stories, which everyone who comes to the sessions will know because I leave them in blank. Nah, I'm joking. I joke about that all the time, but I don't actually as much as they say I do. So today I want to talk about things you can do to get yourself moving. So in terms of like movement and momentum with your goal. So if you've maybe decided, right, I'm going to feel better if I do X amount of sessions a week, or if I do a bit of walking or hill walking or yoga or whatever, but then the day comes, let's say it's Monday, because it's always a Monday, the day comes and you're not there. You've woken up and you're like, oh, especially my night owls will get this, like maybe the night before, you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm so capable of doing this, I can visualize it, and then the morning comes and they're like, oh no, I don't want to do anything. So I think one of the worst things you could do is try and force it and then do nothing. So I think one of the best things you could do if you are that is a habit for you, if that's like a common occurrence where you promise you're going to do something, you get excited about it, and then when the excitement's gone, when the initial inspiration's gone, you're feeling a bit lost. I think one of the best things you can do is ease your way in gently. So I spoke about this in an earlier video about kind of self-parenting, and it's the same thing. Just think about the inner child in you that's just like, no, I don't want to do this. You want to tease your way into it. So I would say have tools that you know work for you. In fact, I'm going to use one for, I find videos scary. I find it really scary to get on video and talk, because the minute I press record button, I think they call it, what is it again? Record button fever or something, I can't remember. But it's when you start to like not know anything when you press record. You press record and you're like, I know nothing. I can't talk about anything. I don't know my own name anymore. So I'm going to use that as an example. So one of my things to, because the night before I can feel it and I'm like, I've got things to share. I'm excited about just bringing it because it helps people. But if I kind of wake up that morning and I'm like, ugh, let's not do that, I'll start to think of other more important stuff to do, like, oh, just get these dishes done. I'll just like clean this out, empty my drawers. Oh no, I've actually got loads of other work to do, and you start to make excuses why you're not doing it. It could be you're not got enough time and all that jazz. So you want to have those things in place that you can do to get a little bit of momentum, lose the fear a little bit, and then ease yourself into it. So for me, I actually stick my earphones in and I play some music and either dance about, or I just like do a little bit of cleaning or something. So I use a little bit of movement, use a little bit of music. And that's actually a good one as well for sessions. So if you're kind of getting up, especially if you're dealing with like stiffness and aches or pains, and the thought of doing a full big session is just like, ugh, you could put some music in, or even put on your favourite podcast or someone that really lights you up, and just do a little bit of cleaning. So do a bit of cleaning, not as a procrastination tool, but something that's only going to take you like 10-15 minutes. So something like the dishes. So you do the dishes, you start to feel a wee bit of momentum. It sounds silly, but it's one of the best ways to kind of pull yourself out the rut, is do a little bit of something, you get a little sense of achievement, little sense of momentum, and then you can then decide, actually I'm going to put some like good music on, have a little dance. If that's not your kind of thing, think, right, I'm going to put on like a YouTube yoga, or I'm going to do some sort of movement that's not as scary. So something that's more about mobility, or something that gives you a little bit of relief. So it's a good thing to kind of find either people like that online, or even just like your favourite movement routine that you've learned yourself. Do a little bit of that. So sometimes I will say to myself, I'm just gonna like do a little massage with my lacrosse ball. After that, I'm like, okay, I'll start to do a little bit of mobility stuff. And then after that, it's usually enough to make me think, you know what, actually, I'll continue. So whether you end up just doing a little self-massage and mobility, you still walk away doing something. But if that bleeds onto something else, then fantastic. If that makes you think, do you know what, I'm not going to do a section in the house, but I'm going to go for a walk. So just building up that momentum, either with music, with people that kind of light you up, with guidance, instruction from either a trainer or someone online that you follow as well. And another thing you could also do is have an accountability partner. So this could be, if you're not at the stage that you're looking for a coach or someone to really guide and teach you, you could have either a friend or family member who is not going to judge you or cap, what you're trying to do. And even say to them like what you want from them. So I actually do this as well with some of my friends and stuff, that if I feel myself slipping with something, I'll say, hey, like I'm slipping with this thing, I've set out to do this and I know it's a really important goal for me. I'm not looking for any advice. Like, see if you don't want too much advice going on top of what you're already working towards. I'm not looking for anyone to really get on at me, but I'm looking to check in and know that I've got someone to check in with. So, put your boundaries of what you're actually looking for. Ask them if they're up for that, and if they are, then that's it. You could, private mail them, each day that you do something. And even if they're not chasing you or actually checking in, knowing that they're waiting for that update is enough to kind of keep you going as well. So that's just a little something that might pull you into that as well. So those are my top tips for today. There's many others. If you are really, really struggling and the things that I've said so far aren't going to work, just say you don't even know where to start with movement or start with eating well or, you know, looking after yourself, get in touch with a coach. Find someone that's going to really push you and who can guide you towards something better. It's something that they know more about than you know. So if you're really struggling, if there's like too much, like, as although I'm saying find people, you know, online and all that kind of stuff, if it's information overload and it's making you paralysed, find someone. Okay guys, have a great day and I hope it's helped. Bye.